I wanted to welcome you to the United Maryland Muslim Council's Grand Celebration Lunch. We're so very glad that you could join us this beautiful afternoon. It's not quite as warm as I was expecting in April. It should be warmer, don't you think? But it's not, and that's okay. We've got a great afternoon. We've got recognitions, the hardest workers in our community. We've got some great speakers, and we've got some great food, so we need to get started. I'd like to first welcome Reem Hashmi. Reem is a sophomore at Centennial High School in Ellicott City. She's an avid reader, and she'll be reading a selection from the Quran for us. One second.
Oh yeah, you can hold it. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الناس إنا خلقناكم من ذكر وأنثى وجعلناكم شعوبا وقبائل لتعارفوا إن أكرمكم عند الله أتقاكم إن الله عليم خبير. And now for the English translation. O mankind, indeed we have created you from male and female and made you peoples and tribes that you may know one another. Indeed, the most noble of you in the sight of Allah is the most righteous of you. Indeed, Allah is knowing and acquainted. Thank you.
Thank you. Oops, sorry about that, guys. Next I have Zaina Abukhtiar. Zaina, if I can get my notes, is a 7th grader at the Sudbook Magnet Middle School, and she plans to study business. She'll be sharing her rendition of the national anthem. Please stand. That was excellent. Thank you. Next, I'd like to welcome Dr. Sayed Haq up to the podium.
We have to hold a microphone. Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon. Shalom. Governor, senators, state officials, county officials, welcome. Thank you for coming to the Grand Luncheon organized by United Maryland Muslim Council. Let me get my glasses. I can't read anything. On behalf of the Board of Directors of United Maryland Muslim Council, I welcome you all to the Grand Luncheon today. UMMC has been on the forefront in promoting the Muslim issues in Maryland. And since its inception, United Maryland Muslim Council has led the way to make our officials aware of the problems the Muslims face in this state. And we have been, alhamdulillah, very successful. United Maryland Muslim Council also has played a major role in political, social, and humanitarian work throughout the state. Our endeavors will continue, and with your help and cooperation, I'm sure that we'll be successful in the future as well. Today, as the chairman of United Meral Muslim Council, I would take this opportunity to recognize the past presidents who have worked very hard. Of course, number one is Anwar Hassan. Number two is myself. I was president for 2 years. And then Rizwan Siddiqui, who has worked a fantastic job today. And I would now like to request the board of directors to stand up and be recognized, please, of United Meral Muslim Council. Please stand up and be recognized. Raise your hand, please. And lastly, I would like to introduce our present president of United Meral Muslim Council, who has worked diligently and tirelessly to keep the movement of United Meral Muslim Council going. He has brought unity in the organization and has created a good cooperation, not among ourselves, but with other Muslim organizations and non-Muslim organizations as well. And he claims that he has not slept for 1 week, for the past 1 week, for organizing this today. So please, a big hand for Rizwan Siddiqui, the president. Welcome, man. Good work.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you, Dr. Haq. Appreciate that. And Assalamu alaikum, Shalom, Namaste, Sat Sri Akal, and good afternoon. We have this diverse community here today. I'm really so much happy, particularly for some of the VIPs and special guests we have. Obviously, Governor Hogan is here. Thank you, Governor, for joining us. We have Ambassador from Pakistan, Ambassador Azaz Chaudhry here. We have Senator Chris Van Hollen. Congressman John Sarbanes was here. He had to leave for, this is the election period, so, he had to go, so he just left a few minutes back, but he was able to meet some of you. And Shahan will recognize a lot of other candidates we have in the list. I just wanted to... Yes, and Andre Carson, Congressman Andre Carson, where are you, please? Congressman Carson is one of the 2 Muslim congressmen in the United States Congress, and he today especially flew from Indiana to join our event. So thank you, Congressman, for joining us. A famous American scholar, Warren Bennis, once said, "Leadership is the capacity to translate vision into reality." You'll meet a lot of leaders today. That is the whole program about today. But I just wanted to make sure leadership does not come without a price. It does take something. How many people know here in this room, MCC has a medical clinic in Silver Spring, and they treat almost 19,000 to 20,000 patients every year. It is amazing service, and it's free. Yes, I'm not joking. It is free for everybody in this country. We need to be thankful to Dr. Asif Qadri, who actually started that decades back, and Dr. Chutani, who is running it right now. Do you know what Helping Hands does? You might have heard the name sometime. This is a small organization which was created back in 2005 by ICNA, Islamic Council of Northern America, and they are in 140 countries. 140 countries with $50 million budget, and they are doing so much relief and other efforts throughout the world, basically across the globe. So Dr. Ansari, who is our neighbor basically here in Maryland, Dr. Ansari, are you here somewhere? So, do we know what Frank Islam is doing Frank Islam is here. Frank, can you stand up, please? He has an organization which we will recognize, inshallah, later on. But do we know what he is doing? Do we know what Imam Bashar is in which country today? Imam Bashar, where are you? Which country he's teaching his students every day? We have Dr. Atiya here. She is doing so much fundraising for schools in Pakistan. So likewise, I can go on and on and on. There's so many organizations which we never knew about. So once we started thinking about recognizing our Muslim leadership, Muslim councils, we always hear the bad news on the TV. But this is the good news what you're gonna hear today. So we wanted to recognize everybody who is doing great job, not only in Maryland, but nationwide and all across the globe, in fact. And I'm sorry we could not cover everybody. We started and then we had to give a break because there were so many organizations. So please, if we miss any organization or if we miss any leadership, please excuse me and my board of directors. We will hopefully make it up and we will add that next event. So this is just the start. So that's why we are here today. Also, on behalf of the board of directors, I'm very grateful for the support of everybody, particularly our volunteers. They had done a great job. Let's give a big hand of applause for our volunteers, please. So a little bit very brief about Muslim Council. As Dr. Haq said a little bit, this was about 17th year now. This was created back in 2001 after 9/11. And thank God, since then, it has been making progress and almost with the lot of local Muslim, we have almost half a dozen to dozen local Muslim council. We all represent 350,000 Muslims in Maryland. And if you talk about the region, DC region is over $500,000. Sorry. Wow. 500,000 people in that, So this is a great community and we just wanted to make sure that we recognize everybody here. Martin Luther King once said that our lives begin to end the day we became silent about things that matter. It's very important what is happening locally in the country right now. Other than there are good news, there are always issues. Immigration issues are going on. Issues about SERA, issues about gun control, school issues. There are a lot of injustice, social injustice, unequal pay for women. There are a lot of issues going on. But if we don't speak out, you will never get that. Number one. Number two, there are a lot of legislators in this room. I want all of them to please work, us and others also, and please do something which you leave legacy behind you. That is very critical to make right and good choices, please. I also wanted to thank not only the volunteers, but all the sponsors here. You see some booth out there, about a dozen or so. They have been very instrumental, and without them, we could not have done this event. So can we give a big applause to all our sponsors, please? Especially I wanted to thank my family also, because they have been putting up with me for quite some time. And Shanaz, my not only better half, but she is the full half, in fact. She is the full because I'm zero. But thank you. Thank you very much for your support and all my children's support here. And also I wanted to recognize 2 weeks before today, we were sold out. Would you believe that? 2 weeks before today. And that is because of your support and confidence on the council, and that's why we are here, okay? We will continue to do the good work for you guys. And also a special thanks and congratulations to all the award winners. They will be following after me, and then we will go from there. But I wanted to congratulate everybody. Can we give a big hand of applause for yourself, who everybody is here? One person I especially want to recognize is Steve McAdam. Can you stand up, please? He had been always very helpful in the whole process, So thank you, Steve, for all your support and help. And with this, thank you and God bless you.
Next, I have Shahan Rizvi coming up. He's going to go through a list of the electeds and some of our more honored guests that are here, far more honored than me, clearly. Just kidding.
Wow, packed house. Give everyone a round of applause here just for being in the room today. What a powerful feeling in this room right now. So this is always a very touchy area, doing all of our recognition, so we're going to try to do this as efficiently as possible. If I don't hit all the names, I do apologize. We will come back and recognize you later in the program, so just see one of the board of directors that have a sort of thing like this, and we will recognize shortly. Anyway, after every name I give, just do a slow clap. Let's just do one. Keep the program going, all right? So we're going to start first. The Governor of Maryland, Larry Hogan. One clap, guys, one clap. This is how this game works, all right? All right. Pakistan's ambassador to the U.S., Azaz Chaudhry. Chief of the Mission Embassy of Pakistan, Rizwan Sheikh. Minister, Embassy of Pakistan, Ubaid Ur Rahman. Counselor, Embassy of Pakistan, Salman Sharif. U.S. Senator Chris Van Hollen. U.S. Congressman Dutch Ruppersberger. U.S. Congressman John Sarbanes. U.S. Congressman Andre Carson. District Director for Congressman Anthony Brown, Nichelle Schultz. Maryland Secretary of Higher Education, Jim Fielder. Maryland Secretary of Juvenile Services, Sam Abed. Executive Director, Governor's Office of Community Initiatives, Steve McAdams. Administrative Director, Governor's Office of Community Initiatives, Kevin Kraft. Director, CEO, Maryland Environmental Services, Roy McGrath. WSSC General Manager, Carla Reed. Executive Director, Office of the Small Business Regulatory Assistance, Randall Nixon. Former Secretary of Human Resources and Governor Hogan COS, Sam Malhotra. Chair, Panel A, Maryland Board of Physicians, Arun Bandari. Prince George's County's Executive and Democratic Candidate for Governor, Rashawn Baker. President and CEO of Prince George's County's Economic Development Corp., Jim Coleman. Executive Vice President, Prince George's County's Economic Dev Corp., Pradeep Ganguly. Baltimore County Executive and Democratic Candidate for Governor, Kevin Kamenetz. Special Assistant to County Executive Kevin Kamenetz, Tony Bazemore. Frederick County Executive, Jan Gardner. Mayor Frederick Michelle O'Connor. Mayor, City of Hyattsville, Candace Hollingsworth. Maryland Delegate, Bilal Ali. Maryland Delegate, Jay Gelacy. Howard County Councilman, Dr. Calvin Ball. Ooh. Democratic Candidate for Governor and former President NAACP, Ben Jealous. Democratic Candidate for Governor, Krish Vignaraja. Ooh. State's Attorneys, Prince George's County's Candidate for County Executive, Angela Alsobrook. For Congress, Maryland 6th Congressional District, Dr. Nadia Hashimi. Candidate for County Council, District 4, Janet Siddiqui. Candidate for Howard County Council, District 1, Raj Kathuria. All right, candidate for Howard County Board of Education, Saif Raymond. Candidate for Howard County Board of Education, Sabina Taj. Governor's Commission on South Asian American Affairs, Anjana Bordole, apologize. Help with voter registration, John and Ann Worley. Whew, I'm exhausted. I still got a few more names to go. All right, we're gonna get through this, guys. All right, board member, Prince George's County's Board of Education, Rahila Ahmed. All right, Maryland Environmental Service and Strategic Partnership Executive, Matthew Schering. Candidate for State Delegate, Democrat for District 9B, Dan Mettinger. Congress, District 2, Liz Matori, candidate. Howard County Council, District 1, John Weinstein. District Director, Nichelle D. Schultz, Maryland's 4th District. Dr. Stephen Geis, U.S. Department of State, Bureau of Education and Cultural Affairs. Running for Congress, District 2, Liz Matori. Community Outreach Director, Reverend Jerome Stevens. And Secretary for Maryland Department of Juvenile Services, Sam J. Abed. All right, so we're going to go ahead and take a break here. I'm going to collect any more names because I'm sure some folks want to yell at me for not recognizing, so I apologize. We will recognize the other folks later in the program. Thank you very much.
Please don't yell at him. Make sure I'm on.
So I'm just going to do this real quick. Democrat for State Delegate, District 44B, Aisha Khan. All right, Maryland House of Delegates, Legislative District 12, Terry L. Hill. And Counselor, Political Public Diplomacy, Salman Sharif, Embassy of Pakistan. All right.
Wait, one
and here we go. All right, I love this. Okay. Democrat for Montgomery County Council at Large, Muhammad Siddiq. And we'll get back to the rest shortly. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Are we on? Yep. Okay. So thank you for that, Shahan. That's always a tough, thankless job, let me be honest with you. So thank you, Shahan. Let's give him a large round of applause for doing that. It's always ever-changing. People leave, people come, so thank you. I appreciate that. Next, I'd like to go through the recognitions. We have a set of awards, as you can see up here currently, and we'd like to go through those one by one. I'd like to call up Governor Hogan and Rizwan Siddiqui to help me with that. I'd like to remind everyone that we will not be taking pictures or videos at the event currently because we do have a photographer. We'll provide you with that information and those links later. Thank you. Hi. Am I reading the names or are you reading the names? Am I reading the names?
Where is your mic? It's not working.
It's here, it's here.
You should cut down that on.
Okay. I have it on. So first, one second. Go ahead. First, I have my mic's, yeah, there we go. Thank you. First, I have an award for Al Farouk Foundation. It's a nonprofit and religious organization to establish Islamic mosques and religious education center to promote understanding of the religious issue among all concerned organizations in the general public. I'd like to call up Kazim Khan up to receive his award. Actually, if everybody in the organization section of the award ceremony, if you could come up to the staging area up here. If you see your name here on the page, it would be great if you could come up to the reception area. After Kazim Khan, we have Dr. Abdullah Abdullah of the Aligarh Alumni Association. The Alumni Association was founded in 1975 as a non-political, non-profit, educational, social, and charitable organization. It provides scholarships for deserving students. Next we have Dr. Abdullah Abdullah of the Aligarh. Oh, he's out of country, so we've got somebody else accepting on his behalf. And next we have from the American Muslim Institution, we have Ambassador Islam Siddiqui accepting. AMI was founded with the mission to build a greater understanding between American Muslims and fellow Americans by working together to create a more just, inclusive, and harmonious society. Ambassador Siddiqui is a former chief agriculture negotiator in the Office of the United States Trade Representative. Thank you. Congratulations. Next, we have Mamdou El Saka of the Arab American Association of Engineers and Architects. You can clap. It's okay. The Arab American Association of Engineers and Architects has established scholarship programs to encourage qualified and talented students to pursue engineering field studies. Congratulations. Next, we have Zainab Chaudhry of the Council on American Islamic Relations. The Council on American Islamic Relations is a grassroots civil rights and advocacy group. CARE is America's largest Muslim civil liberties organization with regional offices nationwide. Congratulations. Next, we have Dr. Saeed Khan, Chairman of the Education Foundation for the Next Generation. The Education Foundation for the Next Generation, the goal of this self-funded organization is to assist students in making connections between academic work and internship experiences and helping minority students to receive personalized career guidance from accomplished professionals. Congratulations. Next, we have Frank Islam and Debbie Driesman Foundation, the chairman of whom is Frank Islam. Frank Islam is an entrepreneur, a philanthropist, a civic leader, and a thought leader. His philanthropic work is focused on education, the arts and culture, civic engagement, and world peace. Thank you. Congratulations. Yes, and he's about to catch a flight, so thank you for coming. Next, we have the Hagerstown Community for Humanity. Dr. Bir Anam will be accepting on their behalf. HCH is a nonprofit organized for charitable and educational purposes. They provide basic humanitarian services, food, clothing, personal care items to our disadvantaged community members, Muslim and non-Muslim. Congratulations. Next, we have Helping Hands for Relief and Development, Chairman of the Board, Mohsen Ansari. HHRD is a global humanitarian relief and development organization responding to human suffering in emergency and disaster situations around the world. Congratulations. Next, we have the Human Development Fund. Dr. Atiya Khan is chairwoman, I'm sorry. They facilitate a non-political movement for positive social change and community empowerment through mass literacy, enhanced quality of education, and universal primary health care across the country and globally. Congratulations. Oh, did I? I'm sorry, it looks like I skipped Imam Bashar Arafat from the Civilizations Exchange and Cooperation Foundation. Sorry about that. Congratulations. Thank you. I screwed up, guys. It was me. Thank you. Next, we have the Islamic Leadership Institute of America. President Ayman Nasser will be collecting the award on their behalf. The Islamic Leadership Institute of America is a nonprofit 5013C educational and research organization founded in the state of Maryland in 2009 to promote leadership development, education, and research based on Islamic values and principles through personalized experiential leadership programs. Congratulations. Next, we have a double award, two for the MCC Medical Clinic that you heard about earlier. We have one for Dr. Asif Qadri, who is the founder, and we also have one for Dr. Rashid Chitani, who is the executive director. The MCC Medical Clinic is dedicated to providing compassionate and high-quality medical care to low-income, uninsured patients, Muslim or non-Muslim, who are 18 years or older. It is the second largest free medical clinic in the country, and most of the physicians, I'm proud to say, are volunteers. Congratulations. Next, I have the Muslim County Muslim Foundation. The Montgomery County Muslim Foundation, I apologize, is a charitable organization that was started in 2008. Its mission is to undertake initiatives and programs to feed the hungry and the homeless. I'm pleased to share with you that Ike Leggett, the Montgomery County executive, will be recognizing MCMF for their good works tomorrow. So you heard it here first. Next, we have the Muslim Social Services Agency, and Imam Hassan Amin will be accepting on their behalf. Their mission is to provide free resources and services to the poor, homeless, and low-income families and individuals in order to help them improve their quality of life. They've helped over 60,000 families since 2003. Congratulations and thank you. Next, we have some of our individual recognitions. If you are on the list of individual recognitions, please come to the staging area. The first I'd like to announce is Omar Iqbal. Omar Iqbal is a member of the board of directors of the UMMC. Omar has served the UMMC for several years. He's been instrumental in developing Muslim relationships with elected and government officials on both the county and state levels. He's a media coordinator, he's an events and fundraising director, and he's our PR guy. He is the intel inside of UMMC. And this award is to recognize his hard work and dedication. Next, we have Congressman Andre Carson. Andre Carson will be, he's accepting a special recognition award. He has dedicated his career to public service as an advocate for Hoosier families in Indiana. Since being elected to serve the 7th Congressional District, he's focused on the economy, and he is the second Muslim to be elected in the United States Congress following Keith Ellison of Minnesota. We will hear more. We will hear more from Congressman Carson a little bit later today. Next, we have Dr. Maqbool Patel. He's accepting the Community Service Award. Dr. Maqbool Patel has served as the president of the Islamic Society of Baltimore numerous times, where he's played a key leadership role in the development and education, community building and development, transforming ISB, one of the first masjid in the country that a president visited. He made it the largest, most vibrant, diverse, progressive Islamic community center in North America. Congratulations. And the next one is Dr. Sayyid Habib Ashraf, who is a physician and visionary Muslim leader. He was the founding member and past president of the Islamic Society of Baltimore. He's unable to make it today, and so Dr. Maqbool Patel is accepting on his behalf. Our next award of valor.
I just want to mention Dr. Patel and Dr. Ashraf are the backbones of Islamic Society of Baltimore and all the Muslim community in Maryland. Give a big applause for Dr. Patel and Dr. Ashraf. Unfortunately, Dr. Ashraf is in India. He was supposed to be flying in yesterday. He was bumped out. So he sent an email. Unfortunately, he could not be here today. So
our next commemoration is for a corporal in the Prince George's County Police Department who lost his life. He was a sergeant, I'm sorry, not a corporal. He stepped in to protect a woman threatened in a domestic violence situation. Sergeant Mujahid Ramzuddin was a 14-year veteran of the Prince George's County Police Department. He was a husband and a father of 4 children, and he was on PGPD's Special Operation Division's Harbor Unit. Accepting this award of valor is his wife and widow, Tammy Ramzuddin. Thank you. Thank you. Next, I'd like to recognize the Islamic centers in Maryland that have done the good work of not only helping our Muslim community, but also helping community members throughout. First, I'd like to start with Adnan Khan of Dar al-Taqwa. Dar al-Taqwa is located in Howard County, Maryland. Go, go, go. Next, I'd like to recognize Sayyid Naqvi of Idare Jafriya. Idare Jafriya is located in Burtonsville, Maryland, which is Montgomery County. It's not Howard County. Can you tell I'm from Howard County? Congratulations. Next, we're recognizing, go ahead, please clap. I feel like Jeb Bush, oh my God. I didn't even mean to make a Jeb Bush joke and I made one, I'm sorry, I apologize. Next, I'd like to recognize the Islamic Center of Maryland, Dr. Imtiaz Mohiuddin. Oh, sorry, he could not be here today.
flu last night, so could not make it today.
He could not make it in today.
I'll take it for
Yes.
Okay. Dr. Wasim's going to take it for him. Hopefully he gives it to him, Dr. Wasim. Next, we're going to recognize the Islamic Society of Annapolis and Javed Iqbal. Next, we have Dr. Ed Torrey from the Islamic Society of Baltimore. Next, we have Mizanur Rahman of the Islamic Society of Frederick.
Please come on.
Next, we have Imam Akil Ingram of the Masjid al-Haq, one of the oldest Islamic centers in Baltimore. And last, we have Prince George's Muslim Association, Abdul Razak Rahim.
He's receiving for Abdul Razak. Thank you. And he has his own also.
Jamil Johnson is accepting for Abdul Razak Rahim, who couldn't be here today. Let's give a big round of applause to all the Islamic centers for their hard work. Every Friday they hold Friday prayers. They do the work of the community that no one can thank them enough for. Thank you. Next, we have our Muslim councils in the great state of Maryland. Well, we're going to start with the Anne Arundel County Muslim Council,
He could not be here.
who I think it was Ridwan Abu Rahman who could not be here today, so Dr. Wasim is accepting this one as well. Let's make sure Dr. Wasim gives it to him. Kidding, I'm kidding, I'm kidding. Next, we have Salim Ahmed of the Baltimore County Muslim Council. Are you here? Is he here? Nope, okay. Next, we have Dr. Sayyid Haq of the Frederick County Muslim Council.
That's me.
He's accepting his own award this time. Go Frederick. Next, from the Greater Baltimore Muslim Council, we have Rais Khan, the president, accepting. Next, we have Ali Abdi of the Howard County Muslim Council.
Rising star.
Once again.
Thank you.
Next, we have Shafiq Khan of the Montgomery County Muslim Council.
This is one of the active councils here.
As you expect, you will count with me.
Yeah.
Once again.
Thank you.
And last but certainly not least, the Prince George's County Muslim Council President Jamil Johnson.
This is the real one.
You have some fans here.
Thank you. Next, we are going to hear from Sadaf Siddiqui. She'll introduce Larry Hogan. For everyone who accepted a gift today, we do have bags when you take them home, so just come to me and I'll make sure I get you a bag, so you don't have to carry the sharp objects in the car. Go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon, everyone. It is my privilege to introduce Maryland Governor Larry Hogan. Since taking office in 2015, Governor Hogan has focused on creating new jobs and making Maryland a better place to live, work, and raise families. His first year in office was the most successful in total job creation and private sector job growth in the last 15 years. Governor Hogan has also made record investments in education and transportation and enacted major environmental initiatives to create clean energy jobs and restore the Chesapeake Bay. He serves as the chairman of the Chesapeake Executive Council and sits on the executive committee of the National Governors Association. Please join me in welcoming Governor Larry Hogan.
Wow. Well, thank you. Thank you all very, very much. Sadaf, thank you for that kind introduction. Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon you. It really is an honor to be here with all of you this afternoon for this grand celebration luncheon. I'd like to offer my congratulations again to all of the organizations and the individuals who were honored with awards just a moment ago. I also want to thank Rizwan Siddiqui, Dr. Hawk, and the United Maryland Muslim Council Board of Directors, the council members, and all of the members of the Muslim community who are here with us. And thank you for giving me this opportunity to join you here this afternoon. And I also want to thank you for all of the work that you do to empower and to serve Maryland's Muslim community. I also want to recognize, I'm not going to name all of them because they were introduced, but I do want to give another shout out to a few members of our team who are here. Rizwan mentioned this, but he's been working very closely with the Muslim community, the executive director of the Governor's Office of Community Initiatives, Steve McAdams. Steve, thank you for all your great work.
Is that okay? I will call you after that.
We've got a number of dedicated public servants that are here from the state, but I'm going to not introduce them once again. But how about they all stand up, everybody that works for us in the administration, Steve and the rest of you. We've got a couple cabinet secretaries, Sam Abed, Secretary of Higher Education, Kevin Kraft. Thank you very much.
No, you're just doing yourself. You're just doing those
think that diversity is one of the greatest strengths that we have in Maryland, and it's the diversity of our people. We're proud that 350,000 Muslims from 60 different countries reside in our state. And our administration has been committed to increasing engagement with this important and thriving Muslim community in Maryland. The leaders of our administration have visited mosques and community organizations all across the state and participated in a number of Muslim holidays. I'm looking forward to my upcoming visit to the Islamic Society of Baltimore, as well as the Muslim Community Center Medical Clinic that you heard about just a few moments ago in Silver Spring. And we're very excited to be hosting a special iftar dinner at the Governor's Mansion in Annapolis to celebrate Ramadan. While I was attending a reception at their home, Mr. and Mrs. Siddiqui presented me with a beautiful Quran. Thankfully, it was an English translation of the Quran. Would have had a hard time finishing it. But for me, it serves as a reminder of Maryland's incredible diversity and of the many things that we can learn from one another. Both the Quran and the Bible are deeply rooted in much of the same history and tradition, and both call upon us to find ways to use our lives to spread love, to seek justice, and to show mercy. Our faiths may be different, but I believe very strongly that if our hearts are open and our intentions are good, that there will always be so much more that unites us than that which divides us. I know that one of the pillars of Islam is charity. And as governor, over the past 4 years, I have been moved countless times by the goodness and the compassion of the Muslim community in our state through food drives and health fairs and interfaith and educational programs. The United Maryland Muslim Council and all of the organizations that are represented here today continue to reach out and to assist many of your fellow Marylanders in need. And I know that another pillar is prayer. And perhaps was more aware than ever before of the power of prayer when I was dealing with my serious battle with cancer. And I just want to tell you that I can't thank you enough for the incredible prayers that I received from the Muslim community during that difficult time. So thank you so much. But it was clear to me that the pain and the sickness and the fatigue were temporary, but that God's grace, goodness, and love are everlasting. And although our individual faiths may differ, we are all united in that belief. We're also united in our desire to change our state for the better for all of our people. And I know that many of you in the Muslim community, many of whom I talked with today, are entrepreneurs and small business owners. Like you, I spent most of my life as a small businessman, founding and growing several small businesses. I had never held elective office before, and I decided to run for governor because I felt that our state was heading in the wrong direction, and I wanted to put Maryland on a new path, and we have. I wanted to grow our private sector. I wanted to put more Marylanders to work and turn our economy around. We've had the best year for business in Maryland in 15 years, the best year for job growth in a decade. We went from losing 100,000 jobs to gaining more than 100,000 jobs. We went from last place in the Mid-Atlantic region to first place in the Mid-Atlantic region. And we had one of the best, thank you. We had one of the best economic turnarounds of any state in America. We've made incredible progress. We're experiencing an exciting economic resurgence, and Maryland truly is open for business. We've cut taxes on hardworking Maryland families, small businesses, and retirees 4 years in a row, and provided $1.2 billion in tax relief. We also provided record funding for education 4 years in a row. And after it failed for more than a decade, we pushed and finally passed and then expanded the Boost program, which provides scholarships to deserving children to attend the schools of their choice. And this has helped many deserving students attend Muslim schools in Maryland. We look forward to helping even more children in the future. Right after the tragedy in Broward County, Florida, I announced the most aggressive school safety program in the nation. We proposed $200 million investment in our schools to make them safer, to provide for mental health counseling, to provide for school resource officers and safety measures. And Luckily, that passed this legislative session, and we will be able to keep our kids safe. No parent should ever have to worry when they send their kids off in the morning whether their son or daughter is going to come home safely. We also have been ensuring that additional measures are taken to protect our vulnerable communities and schools. Last year, we established a fund to make grants for security-related projects to schools and child care centers determined to be at risk of certain hate crimes or attacks, and we are continuing to make your schools safer as well. Together with all of you, we have worked to improve the quality of life here in Maryland. And we've been working on that from one end of the state to the other. We have a lot more work to be done, but we cannot do it alone. Thanks to all of you here today, we are not working alone. I believe that Maryland is stronger because of our Muslim community. With your help and with all of us continuing to work together, we're going to keep changing Maryland for the better. So thank you all so much. And now I'd like to invite Dr. Hawk and Rizwan and all the members of the Board of Directors to please come forward so that I can present them with an official governor's citation recognizing the incredible work that you do on behalf of Maryland's Muslim community. Thank you.
So just make an announcement that the individual citation will begin later.
Wait, we got to do a selfie, Governor. Wait, guys, come on, wait. Can you guys turn around here? Let's turn this way. We're going to go this way.
This way?
Yeah. You want everybody in it. Awesome.
This is the power of
Thank you.
Just make sure that the citation will begin later.
Okay. Individual citations for the board will come later. Next, I'd like to introduce Mifra Bakai. She will be introducing Senator Van Hollen. She's a sophomore at the University of Maryland, College Park, and she's majoring in public health and hopes to go to medical school. Mifra? She's coming. The mic is there.
Born in Karachi, Pakistan, Senator Chris Van Hollen started his time in public service as a member of the Maryland State Legislature and then was elected to represent Maryland's 8th Congressional District in the House of Representatives in 2002. He served as a member of the Democratic leadership and was elected by his colleagues to be the ranking member of the House Budget Committee and protect vital interests like Social Security and Medicare. A tireless fighter for the people of Maryland and a good friend of the Muslim community, he now represents Maryland in the U.S. Senate and has also become known for working hard to find common-sense solutions to difficult national issues. Please welcome Senator Chris Van Hollen.
Thank you, Mifra. Let's give it up for Mifra and all the young people who are with us today. I want to thank all of you for the invitation to join the United Maryland Muslim Council, and I want to congratulate the Muslim community around the state for bringing everybody together and working to speak with one voice. Rizwan Siddiqui, thank you for all your great work organizing this event. I don't know where Rizwan went, but thank you. Dr. Haq and the entire board, all the organizations that are part of today, and of course, all those who are recognized for your leadership. We thank you, we salute you. I'm also really pleased to be here with one of my colleagues from Maryland, from the House of Representatives, Dutch Rupersberger. I know Dutch is here working on a range of issues and trying to make sure that the United States lives up to its values of religious tolerance and embrace of diversity. John Sarbanes was here earlier. I want to thank him for his leadership. The delegation all works very closely together. And I do want to give another shout out to Andre Carson, a fellow colleague from the state of Indiana, a great addition. Thank you, Andre, for your leadership. To Ambassador Chowdhury, thank you for your leadership on behalf of your country. I'm the son of a diplomat myself, so I know a good diplomat when I see one, and I thank you for that. And as was said, my father was in the United States Foreign Service, met my mother, who was a full partner, and I was born in Karachi, Pakistan, and our family lived there. We lived in India, we lived in Sri Lanka, and we lived in Turkey. And so growing up, I had the great blessing of being able to live and play. I wasn't working at that time, I was younger, with people from all different religions and all different backgrounds and all different experiences. And it was a great opportunity growing up. And what really makes America so wonderful is that people bring all those different experiences and different backgrounds and different faiths here to make a home in the United States of America. And I want to thank all of you in the Muslim community for making our country stronger. 350,000 Muslims here in the state of Maryland contributing in every way. Ours is a country of immigrants, and the Muslim community is part of that old American story of a country of people who came together from all over the world and different faiths. You're doctors and lawyers and engineers. You're in the professions. You are teachers. You're community leaders. You are police officers sacrificing every day. You are firefighters. You are people in every part of our community, and you are patriots who fight for the values of America every day. Members of our first responders here in the United States and members of our armed forces overseas. And here in Maryland, like so many other parts of this country, you're providing incredible outreach and services, yes, to the Muslim community, but also to every person in our community, regardless of background and regardless of faith. I want to thank the Islamic Center in Baltimore. I think it's about 50 years old, providing not just a school, but a healthcare clinic. You heard about the Muslim Community Center in Montgomery County. I remember years ago working with the legislature to get some state funding to help support that incredible clinic that is open to everybody, and all the other organizations that were recognized here today for your charity and your outreach to every member of every community in our state. When our state or other parts of the country, other states, experience severe hurricanes or other natural disasters or other efforts, we always see the Muslim community in Maryland and around the country reaching out and offering a helping hand. So thank all of you for that spirit And we need to continue to work together to make sure that our country remains strong and diverse. And the reality is that Maryland's not an island. Maryland's not an island. We work very hard in our state to make sure that we're tolerant and that we reach out to people of all faiths. But we're not an island. And we would not be straight with ourselves if we did not recognize that right now, in the White House, in the president, we have somebody who has attacked Islam. He did it during his campaign, and we have seen a continuation of that attack. And we see it in many different forms, including, of course, the travel ban. During the campaign, he talked about banning Muslims, then realized he couldn't do that under a constitution, and so we have different versions of the travel ban. The Supreme Court's actually going to hear that case in the coming weeks. I am proud of the fact that it was a U.S. District Court from the state of Maryland that stood up to that travel ban. I'm proud of the fact that the Maryland Attorney General, Brian Frosh, has filed lawsuits against that travel ban, and that the Fourth Circuit has upheld it. Now, we will see what the Supreme Court does, but we should not be in this fight, but we are in this fight. And I am proud to work with organizations represented in this room every day to try and push back on those policies in the United States Congress and at the federal level, because every one of us has an obligation, both as citizens and, of course, those who represent citizens as elected officials, to always stand up against bigotry wherever we see it. We have an obligation to fight it because we know it has very negative real-world consequences. The harsh reality is we saw hate crimes go up over the last 2 years. So these are not just words. These are words that translate into actions that hurt people. And we all have to work together to make sure that not just in Maryland, but in every part of this nation, we stand up and speak out and say that that is unacceptable in the United States of America. And I want to say, especially to the young people, you know, this country, as we all know, it's been through ups and downs and twists and turns, but I do have faith that at the end of the day, we will live up to our Constitution. We'll live up to the idea that we are a country that accepts people from all backgrounds and all faiths. After all, this country was founded on the notion of religious liberty. We also have very clearly written in the Constitution, the government doesn't tell people what to believe and not to what believe. That is a question of individual freedom and religious freedom. So that's what we have to continue to fight for every day, to uphold those American values. And thank you to the Muslim community for patriotically fighting for those values every day.
You have to be.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. That was great. Next, I'd like to reintroduce Shahan because I did not introduce him properly. I apologize. Shahan Rizvi is a current member of the Howard County Central Committee. He is a past president of the Howard County Muslim Council. He is a current member of the Howard County Muslim Council, and he is a current board member of the United Maryland Muslim Council. Shahan.
Just wanted to come back. I knew this was going to get a little controversial, but just wanted to recognize a few more names. Just bear with me. Don't have too many this time around. Okay. So first, one of our sponsors, currently on Montgomery County Council and running for Montgomery County Executive, David Blair. Please just give him a round of applause. Thank you for that, David. We have a candidate for State Delegate, District 12, Michael J. Russell. We also have a candidate for Maryland House of Delegates, District 12, Bob Cocky. Thank you. Next, I have a candidate for Maryland House of Delegates, District 23A, Shubnam Ahmed. We have several candidates for the Howard County Democratic Central Committee. Real quick, Jennifer Jones, Herbie Smith, May Beal, Mara Cleary Dunnigan, and Dhaval Shah. Also want to recognize the spokesperson for the Burma Task Force, Ms. Nicole Ambrose. If you have any other names, just, you know where to find me. Just send me some cards. We'll get them covered. Thank you.
And Shahan didn't mention he's also running for a Democratic National Central Committee as well. Next, I'd like to introduce Neha Amir. Neha is currently a master's and graduate honors student at Johns Hopkins University, as well as a mental health therapist at Johns Hopkins Bayview Medical Center. She is also the current title holder of the Miss Pakistan USA 2017 first runner-up and has used her title to spread awareness of the importance of mental health. Neha, please welcome Neha.
Elected officials and respected audience members, Assalamu alaikum. My name is Neha Amir, and as I was thinking about what I'd like to speak about today, I realized that the first time I spoke on this platform at this very event was when I was 14 years old. I am now 24 years old, so you can do the math. This makes me excited for two reasons. One is that after 10 years, I'm still considered a member of the youth. So thank you for considering our perspectives. And second, and more importantly, as a first-generation Muslim girl who moved as an immigrant at the age of 7 to the United States, an experience that many of you sitting here today might have in common with me, it is an outstanding achievement to witness that year after year, you and I make the commitment to make this event possible. You see, for a young girl, and many people who have grown up in a country which has had its fair share of trials and controversy against the American Muslim population, this is a feeling of progression and hope, that despite the difficulties, the door continues to be opened, bridges continue to be built, and conversations are continuing to be exchanged. I hope in another 10 years, we still come together to share these same values. So, to the organizers, as well as you, the attendees, your mere presence confirms that you are devoted to construct a better future, and this deserves a recognition and a round of applause. Thank you. Now, when I learned that one of the themes of the event this year is the power of diversity, I was very excited. As a mental health therapist, I come from a very uniquely rewarding profession where I am humbled to be invited to the most private parts of people's lives. I'm sharing this with you because when you talk to enough people who come from all walks of life, some common themes start to emerge, and you learn that in despite of the individual experiences, we ain't all that different. What people desire most in their lives is freedom of choice, awareness and insight, striving for identity and relationships, and searching for meaning and purpose. But to those differences that color our world, let's learn them, celebrate them, and own them as part of our own reflections. It's quite fitting and ironic that in my master's program, I'm currently taking a diversity class, and my professor, Dr. Abrahamian, says to us to first take ownership and challenge our own biases. In every conversation or interaction, when we are so quick to judge, make assumptions, or keep stereotypes alive, let's make it a habit to consciously ask ourselves, what's my bias here? Where did I learn this information? How have I internalized it to make it a truth in my mind? And how do I unlearn and this time really listen to understand the experience of someone else? Muslim problems are American problems. We're all aware of the many crises that have occurred this year, including some that have escalated, such as social injustice issues, hate crimes against Muslims, immigration holds, Muslim travel bans, cultural assassination among the Rohingya refugees, and much more. On behalf of the motivated youth that are passionate to bring change and let their voices be heard today, I ask you for more opportunities to be involved. The only way to build equitable and thriving communities is by giving every young person both freedom from systems that hold them back and the opportunity to unlock their greatest potentials. There's a saying by an Australian developmental worker that I absolutely love. It says, "If you have come to our village to fix us, your time has been wasted. But if you see that your life journey is somehow connected with my own, then come, let us work together." I want to leave you with a short story because I listen to stories every day, and I believe in the power of them. There were two rooms, both with the same exact criteria: a giant bowl of soup in the middle and long stretched out spoons. The people in the rooms had a hard time eating the soup because it wouldn't reach their mouths. They found that despite this, one room attained happiness while the other continued to struggle. They wondered, how could this be? They have the same exact conditions. They found that while one room struggled because they could not feed themselves, the other attained fulfillment because they learned to feed each other. I look forward to hearing your stories today and hope that you equally give importance to mine. The truth is, while we are making great progress, we are still falling short, and there's plenty of work that needs to be done. Let's work together. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next, I'd like to introduce Hamad Bakai. Hamad Bakai is a junior at Marriotts Ridge High School. He's the president of the Muslim Student Association at his school and is a nationally ranked debater. He hopes to go to college and pursue a medical degree so he can travel to third world countries and provide health care to those who cannot afford it. Hamad? There you go. Yeah.
Hello, and assalamu alaikum, everyone. Does anyone remember the golden rule we all learned in kindergarten? It was to treat everyone the way you want to be treated. So many of the world's problems could be avoided if we all would just follow this simple rule. April 3rd, 2018, a day now known as Punish a Muslim Day. A group of people sent out letters in a UK neighborhood saying that points would be awarded for acts of violence towards Muslims. Seems like they forgot their golden rule. The sad reality is that we live in a time where people are unafraid to act unconditionally on their beliefs. However, this fact does not have to be bad at all. The entire idea of freedom and democracy is to allow people to not have to get up and speak their minds and not be limited in what they have to say. The only necessity is for us to be able to draw a fine line between speaking freely and attacking another person. You see, there are very concrete issues in our society, and almost all of them boil down to how we treat one another. Before I really get into it, I want to thank all the officials here tonight. On behalf of the UMMC and all the Muslims in Maryland, we thank you for your efforts. For those who do not know, it is because of these people that schools this year are not allowed to administer final exams on Eid. It was not even 5 years ago where I would have to write a note to the school letting them know that I would be absent to practice my right to observe this religious holiday. This progress is truly remarkable, but while we appreciate this progress, we also recognize that there is still much work that needs to be done to better the American community at large. So here's the problem. There's an overwhelming tone of hatred and continued animosity towards each other. In the past few years, we have seen riots, violent protests, shootings, and hate crimes rising above capacity. Columbine, Chapel Hill, Orlando, Charleston, and Parkland are just a few examples. The level of hate in our communities has never been higher. It's not just these awful events, but also how this animosity has traveled into our schools. Students pick on each other for not wearing the right shoes, having a different haircut, or even wearing a red shirt with red pants. Ladies and gentlemen, high schools are not exactly what they used to be. People are bullied to the point of suicide. This problem is so prevalent that Netflix made a show about it called 13 Reasons Why. As drastic as they seem, these are solvable problems. The obvious question would be, how do we cut out the haters? But rather we should ask, how do we turn the haters and those who are hated into a unified community? There are two things we all can do to limit the hostility. First, be informed about the community around you. Take responsibility in knowing the struggles they go through. And after gaining that knowledge, be empathetic. Every person has a unique struggle. If a person is having difficulty, do not be so quick to judge. I'm sure everyone is aware of all the walkouts high schools nationwide participated in. The controversial issue of guns is by no means the major topic of the day. However, it is the prime example of students becoming informed and acting on what they believe is right. The March for Our Lives movement is what spearheaded these walkouts. After the Parkland shooting, students are speaking out more than ever. And if the protest in DC does not show the power of the American youth, I don't know what will. All we're asking for is for schools to be safer. Whether trained officials are there to protect us, metal detectors, anything that really needs to be done, because the future of this nation will not be too bright if we cannot learn safely in our schools. The second thing, give a smile to each other. In the religion of Islam, it is believed that a smile is a form of charity. Even something so simple as smiling at someone and saying hello can mean all the difference. Allow me to tell you all a quick story. It's the 1970s. A man in his 30s makes his way across the Golden Gate Bridge. He's passed by pedestrians and cyclists and steps around tourists taking pictures of Alcatraz. He gazes out at San Francisco, steps up on the ledge of the bridge, and jumps off. The Coast Guard soon arrives to recover his limp, lifeless body. When the medical examiner later located and searched the jumper's apartment, he found a note that the man had written and left on his desk. It read, "I'm going to walk to the bridge. If one person smiles at me on the way, I will not jump." This may indeed be an extreme case, but it goes to prove the point that a smile can go a long way. A smile can make someone's day. A smile can save a life. So everyone, if you don't get anything else out of this speech, just remember to try and make our schools safer, to be nicer to one another, and above all else, smile like we did in kindergarten. Thank you all for coming. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
That was very moving. I've got questions from who is that kid and what grade is he in and how is he doing? So he's clearly a rising star, which is fantastic. Thank you, Hamad. Next, I'd like to introduce, give me 1 second, I'm a little behind here. I have Bilal Gummer. Bilal Gummer is introducing Congressman Andre Carson for me today. Bilal is a junior at Glenelg High School and a future IT entrepreneur. He'll introduce Congressman Andre Carson. That mic is here.
Assalamu alaikum. Andre Carson is the U.S. Representative for Indiana's 7th Congressional District, in office since 2008. Carson is the second Muslim to be elected to the United States Congress following Keith Ellison of Minnesota in 2006. Since being elected to serve in 2008, he has focused on growing the economy, strengthening national security, and building a stronger middle class. As the ranking member of the Emerging Threats Subcommittee on the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, Congressman Carson is a rising member of House leadership. He serves as a senior whip for the House Democratic Caucus, sits on a powerful Democratic Steering and Policy Committee, and is a member of the Congressional Black Caucus Executive Team Leadership. These high-profile positions have allowed him to fight for his constituents at the highest levels of congressional leadership. Born and raised in Indianapolis, he grew up in a family that taught him the importance of hard work, caring for others, and public service. We are so proud to have him join us today at this prestigious event. Please welcome Congressman Carson.
Thank you, Bilal. Thank you to everyone who is here today. I see my good friend Dutch over there. Hey, man. Yes. I want to give a shout out to Rizwan Siddiqui, Akbar Ansari, Dr. Rafiq, Dr. Rizvi, Ambassador, my good friend and buddy, Ambassador Siddiqui and his wife. I also want to thank the governor who has since left. I also want to thank John Sarbanes, who is no longer here, Senator Van Hollen, Ambassador Chaudhry, Brother Steve, and each and every one of you. And if I've forgotten anyone, blame my staff. But it's an honor to be here with the United Maryland Muslim Council for so many reasons. I've seen this community grow over the past decade since I've been in the DMV. I've seen this community face numerous challenges, trying to get beyond Islamophobia and xenophobia and wrestling with all the phobias that we have to navigate through as a community. I know that there are several Muslims running for office in Maryland. Man, that's awesome. And 4 of them are women, right? Wow. Are they here? Stand up if you're running for office. Is that Dr. Nadia? Wow. Who else? Sabrina? Sabina, hey, all right. Good to see you. Wow. Sabina, Nadia. You all, Nadia is an accomplished doctor, and I can't wait to talk to Sabina, but Nadia took me to a Jay-Z concert. Can you believe that? Man, she'd be a great congressperson. Asha Khan, where? Hey, good to see you. All right. Brother Steve is on it, isn't he? I'm proud to say that we have Muslims here running for office because we've really grown. And I say this all the time. I can remember pre-9/11 going to the masjid, trying to register people to vote, and I heard, oh, astaghfirullah, Brother Salim, no, we don't do that. That is haram. Now we're excited about being engaged in the political process, and that's what it's all about. But we can't stop there. There are Muslims all over the country who are running for office, like Brother Abdul Sayed running for governor in Michigan. There's Sister Deidre Abboud in Arizona, and Jesse Sabay in Nevada, hoping to be Muslim senators. I just met a sister last week in Raleigh named Sister Zainab Baluch running for city council. And there are so many folks running for office. It's not just enough to have 2 Muslims in Congress. And Keith Ellison is doing a fantastic job. He's doing a great job. Many of us blame this president for a lot of our woes. Others point to historical and deep-seated cultural challenges, racism and bigotry. Others have pointed to the legacy of 9/11 and when it became normalized to blame Muslims for any and everything. And when I talk to my colleagues in Washington, D.C., both Democrat and Republican, many of them hate the vitriol that they're hearing from their so-called leaders. People have bought into these fear tactics and scare tactics and attempts to divide us. I come from the great state of Indiana, where your vice president was former governor. And while I think Mike Pence is a good guy personally, I have issues with many of his policies. And now I find it hypocritical that as we attempt to stand up for Syrians by bombing Syria and attacking Assad, we still stop Syrian brothers and sisters from coming into the United States of America. That's the kind of hypocrisy that we have to set out to destroy. It's wrong to set policies and then condemn refugees who want a safe place for their families. and friends, we not only need Muslims running for public office, we need Muslims working on policy. We need Muslims going door to door. We need Muslims phone banking. I got my start in 1984. My grandmother was selected to be a delegate to the Democratic National Convention in San Francisco. My good side's over here, brother. There was a brother named Jesse Jackson running for president. Keep hope alive. And we went out there, and Mr. Jackson did not get the nomination. But I was 9 in 1984, soon to be 10 later that year. I went back with my grandmother, back to the great Hoosier State, phone banking, even though I wasn't old enough to vote, going door to door, registering voters, even though I wasn't old enough to vote. And I didn't grow up wanting to be a politician, at least at that age, but a seed was implanted in me. And then in 1990, a lady who went on that trip with us in 1984 by the name of Dr. Pat Payne, she was a school administrator. I called her because we wanted a Black Studies class taught at Manual High School. She said, if you get 1,000 signatures, we'll see what we can do. My white friends helped us get the first 500, and we got the rest. Then a year later, 1991, I was standing outside of a mosque in Indianapolis, Indiana, and the police raided the mosque. And at 17 years old, I was arrested unjustly. I was a juvenile. And at that time on the weekends, you couldn't be released as a juvenile. It was a Friday night. My biggest fear wasn't the cops, it was calling my grandmother to let her know I had been locked up. But I woke up that morning and I was brought to a window so Muslims could see that I was okay. I looked out in the parking lot and there were hundreds of Muslims, or at least 100 Muslims, and members of clergy and members of the activist community who were there demanding Brother Andre's release. I was released that day. And throughout those years, I was an activist. And interestingly, I ended up becoming a police officer. And then throughout my career as a cop, I was assigned to Indiana's Department of Homeland Security, working on counterterrorism and counterintelligence. And I believed as a young man that activism was paramount, that you needed constant agitation, constant pageantry, holding elected officials accountable, critically important. I believe that the solution was constant agitation, constant agitation. But as I studied my grandmother and others, I realized not only did you need constant and outside agitation, you needed inside instigation. You needed folks on the inside like Dutch and others who could produce legislation to meet the demands of the activist community and the people that they represent. So you have both levels of accountability. Activism alone won't get it. Legislation alone won't get it. It takes coalition building for us to get out of our silos. And that's what this organization is about. The fact that you all can bring so many thought leaders together. The governor's here, senators are here, members of Congress and local government are here, all cheering for Muslims to be successful. It's coalition building that allowed Frederick Douglass to work with women in the suffrage movement, to push Abraham Lincoln to put pressure on the states to ultimately emancipate the slaves. It was the movement on the ground that forced a Harry Truman to desegregate the military. It was coalition building and a movement on the ground that forced President Johnson to listen to A. Philip Randolph, Fannie Lou Hamer, Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel, and Dr. King to push Lyndon Johnson to sign the Voting Rights Act and the Civil Rights Act. And it was the movement on the ground that brought people together from all walks of life to elect America's first black president, Barack Obama, in 2008. And it's going to take a movement on the ground for us to realize that with as many Muslims that we have in our country, that we can no longer be ashamed of who we are. We have to leverage our voting bloc and not be satisfied for politicians to come to iftars, but to make sure that they keep their word when we vote them into office, to push against anti-Sharia legislation, to push against xenophobia, Islamophobia, and even homophobia, and say enough is enough. We're one people, one America, one country with a common vision, and that's the betterment of humanity. Jazakallah khair. Thank you. Salam alaikum.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Next, I'd like to introduce His Excellency Ambassador Azaz Chaudhry to the stage.
Thank you very much, and assalamu alaikum to all of you. It is my privilege to be amongst so many people who are committed to promoting the name of Islam for what it is, and not for what it is being sometimes projected as. But let me first tell you that I came to this country, United States, about a year ago for my present post, but I have been around. It was my fourth stint. And I have noticed that, and my family grew up here, my children grew up here, they are now elsewhere, but they have been imbibed for the best of the values that this country represents.
Great, thank you.
Trust me, that you are sitting in and living in a country which is the largest in its heart. I have traveled in several societies, lived in different cultures and countries, but I can say that what the founding fathers of this country did to this nation was truly unparalleled. The values of freedom, liberty, rule of law, justice, and democracy are what this country is all about. It's not about terrorism, it's not about capitalism, it's nothing about anything else. I think it's that, and these are the values which the people all over the world, all across yearn, including my country, Pakistan. And I know that there are so many Pakistani Americans also sitting in this hall who are also playing such a marvelous role in managing the United Muslim Council in Maryland and giving the voice to the sentiments that Congressman Andre Carson was talking about. But he's right. I think it's not just about agitation or activism. I think it's more about working to make sure that your voice is then translated into the laws, for which I'm very pleased that so many Muslims and so many Pakistani Americans are actually participating in the electoral processes, and I really admire them, because this is their country as much as it is for anybody else, and they need to be recognized, they need to stand up and be counted. Thank you, Dr. Rizwan Siddiqui, for inviting me, and thank you, Dr. Wasim al-Haq Sayyid. You both were at my residence one evening, and you kindly provided me this opportunity to know that how many good souls are there in Maryland to do so many good things. Mr. Siddiqui, you quoted Martin Luther King. Let me also quote something else from him. And I remember that he said that in the end, we will not remember the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. That is why it is important that you just don't sit in your homes, but come out and speak. Speak for your right, speak for what you believe in. And this is what this country is about. My second point that I want to make is that Islam has unfortunately come to be defined in many parts of the world by the acts of 9/11. That is not at all what Islam was or is. I think Islam, the very word means peace. Assalamu alaikum means peace be upon you. Anything we do or anything that we do in our life is Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, where Allah is remembered by his two qualities, the merciful and the benevolent. So therefore, I think we need to really showcase the name and true image of Islam for what it is. I believe that this yellow card says that time is over, so I would not say, but I'll just still make one point to you. I served in the United Nations for a long time, and especially in the Human Rights Commission. And we all worked on what Eleanor Roosevelt gave to us on Universal Declaration of Human Rights in 1948. And I would show to my fellow negotiators the last sermon of the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, in which he declared the ultimate equality of humankind, that no Arab has any superiority on any non-Arab, no white over on a black, and so on and so forth. So 1500 years ago, Islam represented what the values of this age and this day represent. God bless you all. God bless America and God bless Pakistan.
Thank you. Thank you, Ambassador. Next, I'd like to call up Noura Rahman. Noura Rahman will be introducing Congressman Dutch Ruppersberger. She's a junior at Mount Hebron High School in Ellicott City and is an avid tennis player. Noura?
Assalamu alaikum. Congressman Ruppersberger has served in public office for more than 30 years and is currently serving his 8th term in the United States House of Representatives for the citizens of Maryland's 2nd District. The congressman currently serves on the powerful House Appropriations Committee, including the Defense, the State, Foreign Operations and related programs, and the Homeland Security subcommittees. Creating jobs and improving Maryland's economy is one of Congressman Ruppersberger's top priorities. He is working hard to help middle-class Marylanders achieve more than just making ends meet. A friend of the Muslim community, the congressman is also fighting to keep our country safe and get our first responders the funds they need to protect our communities and our families. Congressman is running for re-election this November. Please welcome Congressman Dutch Ruppersberger.
Good afternoon. Whoa. Good afternoon. Nora, thank you. You can introduce me anytime. I do want to acknowledge the ambassador. We have to work together. We will. I've been to your country many times. And, the safer the Middle East is, the safer the world is. That we do have challenges, and we'll live up to those challenges. I also want to acknowledge my good buddy, Andre. Now, I'll tell a little story first before I start. Andre, his grandmother that he talked about, she was one of my buddies. And we are a different age, but she lived in my building. And we used to sit together on the floor. And we would have fun and tease and don't you come knocking on my door at night, grandmother, or those type of things. But she just was a very unique person and cared a lot, not only about her job and her state, but about her grandson. Now, I don't like following you because, he's pretty good in the stump. There's only one person in this state, we all know him, Elijah Cummings. You never want to follow him. But guess what? In seniority, I'm after him. So that's the way it goes. I want to acknowledge that John Sarbanes and Chris Van Hollen were here. The governor was here. They said, very unique and good words, and thank them for that. What's great today about being here is the reflection of the Muslim American culture coming together and the tremendous sense of community and family. And that's just so important. That's kind of what we look for, I guess, in life, all of us. I've spoken to this council on numerous occasions, as well as smaller groups in my district, and I've always encouraged the Muslim constituents of mine to get involved in the political process. Well, today, and guess what? Today, I can acknowledge that we do have that going on. And today, you had people stand up who are also running for office. That's our process in the United States of America. That's what our democracy is about. And today, we have many Muslims serving in state and local offices across Maryland. We have State Delegate Jay Shalisi. Is he here from Baltimore County? He was here, or he wouldn't be on the list. But he was here, and thank you, Jay. And also, Bilal Ali. Is he here? He had to leave also. Okay. And 5 city council members serving municipalities across Maryland, and 2 Muslim members in the U.S. House. You know, we talked about my friend Andre and Keith Ellison, working very well. And you know about Andre, it's not only about what you say, it's how you act and how you respect it. He got in for the right reason. He had good training from your grandmother, my girlfriend. But those 2 individuals have done a lot for your community, because we all want to come together as American Muslims, and that's what we are talking about. By the way, I was a former Baltimore County executive. Any county executives here in the room? Oh, Kevin Kamenetz, who was, you served with my county council. Well, that's pretty good. Thank you. He's running, and also I think who else is here or supposed to be here? I think, well, if not, I'll move on. Okay. Who? Rashawn Baker and Jan Gardner I saw on the list too, from Frederick, so we'll see. Okay. Well, first thing, I was so pleased to see, we talked about involvement in community and family. I was so pleased to see the Muslim Social Services Agency in Baltimore and the Islamic Relief USA commemorate MLK Community Service Day. And this year, by collecting 150 bags of toiletries and providing 250 free hot meals to homeless people who are struggling in Baltimore. Now, what does that say? Why is that so important? Because they're not Muslims who you were helping. They're members in Baltimore City, in the area, who needed help. And that helps all of us when we help each other. And I really think that's so important, and to be involved in community. It shows you're involved in the community. I also want to thank you for the charitable works I see you doing throughout the community. I've learned even more about your philanthropic efforts today, and I'm very impressed. Just keep moving ahead. We need to have everyone, not just the Muslim community, active and involved. Makes a difference. It is these kinds of initiatives that builds bridges, as we know, to break down the unfortunate anti-Muslim attitudes that somehow remain pervasive among certain groups ever since the September 11 attacks. I was proud to rally with many of you at BWI last year when President Trump imposed his first travel ban against Muslim-majority nations. And that's not who we are as a people. That's not who we are as a country. And I was also embarrassed on behalf of my Muslim constituents and made my position clear to President Trump and to any media outlet that would listen. We have to keep that pressure on. We have to make sure that we stop what's going on. You know, I said in the beginning, when this president was elected, if he does well, we will do well. But if he says or does things that I don't agree with, I'm going to stand up. Andre's going to stand up. We're going to stand up. We all need to stand up here. Trump's strategy to divide and conquer, make a minority group an enemy to solidify his base, that's wrong. And if you notice, when he's giving his speeches out in the community, it's in certain areas, and he doesn't have to answer any questions. Now, we saw it at his campaign rallies, again, his comments regarding Charlottesville, Virginia, and then, of course, his deplorable travel bans. And we will not sit lightly while this president and his administration make Muslims or any minority group the scapegoat for what ails our country. The good news is that our forefathers create a system of checks and balances to prevent leaders like Trump from trampling over and on our civil rights. Our courts have continually voted down Trump's racist bans. Let's just hold our fingers and see what the Supreme Court does. But we do have the checks and balances, and believe me, we will stand up. As Trump continues his assault against refugees and immigrants, I want all my constituents in all origins and faiths to know that we stand behind them. Immigrants and diversity are what make our country so great. They add color to the fabric of our communities. We are Americans, and when we demonize Muslims in America, we give it to the anti-American narrative that extremist groups promote. ISIS and Al-Qaeda do not represent mainstream Islam, just like Steve Bannon doesn't represent mainstream Christianity. It's painful to see discrimination still occurring against Americans based on religion. Now, I'm familiar with many mosques located in the Baltimore region. I realize these are homes away from home. One of the first things I did as Baltimore County after 9/11, when I was county executive, was send police officers to your mosque on Johnny Cake Road in Catonsville. And I visited as well. I spoke to your leadership and developed relationships to better understand your concerns. That was the beginning, a negative into a positive, that allowed me and other people to understand more about your religion. And I appreciate that relationship, and it stands there today. Now, if you're like me, you believe that every person is entitled to worship in a secure environment without undue concern for safety of your families and fellow congregants. Unfortunately, in my more recent meetings with some of my Muslim American constituents, they are again concerned. They have fear about safety and not being safe. We will make sure we stand up to that. Now, as you may know, just last year, we have seen an increase in the number of hate crimes across the country, including at houses of worship and especially at mosques. Now, both of you, all of us, are proud to say that, and Chris Van Hollen, time is over, I've got about 2 more minutes. Chris Van Hollen and I are both appropriators. But along with our other members of Congress, including Andre, we were able to pass and secure a $25 million increase for nonprofit security grant program in the omnibus appropriations bill that recently passed Congress. And this is an indispensable program that funds physical security improvements to nonprofit organizations at high risk of a terror attack or hate crime. And this is a very important bill, and we got it through. Never thought we would. I'm also working with my peers to fix the culture of discrimination that still exists in the financial, housing, and medical industries. As you undoubtedly know, it is harder for minorities to get bank loans, rent homes, and buy health insurance. That's not right. Times are hard, but we have seen tough times before. And I'm confident if we work together, we will come out of it. We're still the land of opportunity that many of you who are first-generation immigrants sought. I want to close my remarks with a quote from Kaiser Khan made at the 2016 Democratic Convention in Philadelphia. I believe it epitomizes what we all stand for today. Quote, "We can't solve our problems by building walls and sowing division. We're stronger together." Thank you for inviting me, and it's great to be here. And again, Andre, I'm glad you're here in our great state of Maryland. Take care.
Okay. Thank you, Dutch. Folks, we're almost at the home stretch of the program. Just bear with us just a few more minutes and we'll be getting done with this. For this portion, we're going to get ready to do local, state representatives and county. We're going to start with the county executives. Unfortunately, Alan Kittleman could not be here with us today. He does send his regrets. I believe he's triple booked today. So we are going to hear someone from Howard County, the greatest county in the state of Maryland. Just kidding. No, I'm not. Anyway, yeah, go ahead. Clap for that. Sorry. Okay, so I want to go ahead real quick and introduce County Councilman Calvin Ball. He represents the 2nd District of Howard County, and he was elected the youngest person to ever serve county council. He represents about 50,000 constituents, and he is also a candidate for Howard County Executive. So without further ado, Calvin Ball, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. We can do better than that. Assalamu alaikum. It is quite an honor to be here. I learned that phrase not when I began running for office, as many of us who are non-Muslim do, but I learned that phrase from my father as a little boy. You see, my father, who graduated from Morgan State University, when he was a student, went to a talk by one of his idols once, and he learned that phrase, and he came home and taught it to his son. And that idol, Muhammad Ali, helped him understand the importance of peace and the importance of inclusion. Learning that at that young age was something that my father wanted to instill in me because he recognized that we will be stronger together. And today, your theme of power in diversity is a manifestation of that many years later. You see, as there are so many outside forces trying to divide us, trying to pick us off because we're Muslim or Jewish or black or LGBT or woman or any other beautiful fabric of diversity, is going to be unacceptable, and it will have the reverse effect. In fact, when I look across this room and I look across our great state, what I see is not fear. What I see is not division. What I see is unity and power in diversity. So I want to thank those who helped organize this event. I want to thank each and every one of you who came, because you could be anywhere today, but you chose to be here among like-minded people who care about our state and care about our future. And as I'm raising my daughters, the next generation of leaders, I want to pass them on the same lessons of diversity, of inclusion, of empowerment, of hope for the future, that we are all the reality of. Thank you so much, and please remember who we are. 2 minutes.
Hold on to that. Hold on to that. Hello. Next, I'd like to introduce Kevin Kamenetz. He's the 12th and current county executive of Baltimore County, Maryland, serving since 2010. He previously served as a 4-term county councilman representing the 2nd District of Baltimore County. Please welcome Kevin Kamenetz. Yeah, you're welcome.
Well, thank you, and good afternoon. Assalamu alaikum. I'm honored to be here today, and in fact, I have to tell you that I made previous plans to take my family to the ball game, and I just left them in the 4th inning to come over here, but we have 2 special events today. So I want to thank the United Maryland Muslim Council for your great work in the community, and a special thanks to your president, Rizwan Siddiqui, and the entire board for hosting this luncheon, highlighting unity and solidarity in our community. But I also want to give some recognition to our friends and partners in Baltimore County, the Islamic Society of Baltimore and its president, Dr. Edmund Torrey. The Maryland headquarters of CARE is located in Baltimore County, and I was glad to be there for the ribbon cutting of that event in Woodlawn. And I also want to recognize our Baltimore County Muslim Council. Well, ladies and gentlemen, 2 weeks ago, Khizr Khan, the Gold Star father and defender of our constitutional rights, came back to Baltimore County to join me and dozens of others to share his amazing story. He said, now is the time for us to unite and fight for the principles we share. And he's absolutely right. Because as we all know too well, immigrant communities are under attack. Muslim travel bans have been enacted. A campaign of terror against the immigrant community has been unleashed. Hate is on the rise, and people are scared. We've seen it across our country, and we've seen it right here in Maryland. In Baltimore County, we are standing up to those who seek to divide us. Because I believe that the true measure of a government is how it treats those who are downtrodden, those who are the most vulnerable. And that is why I signed an executive order that states that in Baltimore County, no county employee, including our police, can make inquiry as to anyone's immigration status. I did it because government leaders have an obligation to defend the Constitution. I did it because we must reject baseless hatred and bigotry. I did it because it's the right thing to do. Hezer Khan told me that in addition to keeping a copy of the Constitution in his pocket, he now keeps a copy of my executive order in his pocket so that he can show other elected officials that it's not mere words, but their actions must set the example. Now is not the time to be silent or ambivalent. Leaders must stand up and fight for the rights of all. We cannot afford to sit on the sidelines and be silent or just be casual observers. So I'm going to continue to fight for what's right and support the people and the organizations that are fighting for unity and tolerance. You see, I am the grandson of an immigrant. I know we have a responsibility as Americans to stand up for what we stand for. Our founding father, one of our founding fathers, Thomas Paine, wrote, he envisioned this country, these soon-to-be United States, as a refuge for the persecuted lovers of civil and religious liberty. This is what we all stand for. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Mr. Siddiqui, let me just quickly offer you this executive citation, Rizwan. And I just want to say, on behalf of Baltimore County's 838,000 residents, we want to express our heartfelt gratitude to the United Maryland Muslim Council for your ongoing good works. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Next, I'd like to introduce Amira Abukhtiyar. She will introduce Prince George's County Executive Rushion Baker. Amira is a senior at UMBC. I don't know if you've heard of UMBC, it's a local basketball school or something, from what I've heard. No, it is famous now. Go UMBC. She's studying chemical engineering and entrepreneurship, and she's also the fundraising chair of the UMBC's Engineers Without Borders. Amira? Rushern's here, right? Rushern? I don't see Rushern. Okay.
Mr. Baker?
We don't have Mr. Baker here today, correct? All right, it looks like he's not here. Well, you can read what you were going to read.
What is it?
Go ahead.
Rushion Baker is the county executive of Prince George's County, the highest income African American majority county in the United States, and the second largest jurisdiction by population in the state of Maryland. Since his election in November of 2010, Mr. Baker has raised the profile of Prince George's County in the Washington, D.C. metropolitan region, implementing innovative programs designed to improve the quality of life for residents. He created the fastest growing economy in Maryland, cut crime in half, and raised home values without displacing people. He did it by proactively transforming neighborhoods, implementing mandatory bias training for police officers, and getting more jobs for the returning citizens. A friend of Muslim community, Mr. Baker is running for the governor of Maryland in this year's election. Yeah.
All right, well, anybody knows Rashern, you can say, hey, where were you, dude? I mean, come on. Thank you. Next, I'd like to introduce Shahid Rahman. Shahid Rahman is the executive director of AMI. AMI was founded with the mission to build a greater understanding between American Muslims and fellow Americans by working together to create a more just, inclusive, and harmonious society. Welcome.
Good afternoon and Assalamu alaikum. Thank you, Annie, for the introduction. I would especially like to congratulate and thank Rizwan Siddiqui and his team for putting together such an important event with our elected officials, Muslim and non-Muslim, and their constituents who are Muslim and non-Muslim. So I wonder if the founding fathers of this country over 250 years ago could have imagined such a situation where you have Muslims and non-Muslims elected and unelected together. In my past life, I was a history teacher, and I'll reference history as often as possible. The 19th century French diplomat, Alexis de Tocqueville, noted, "History is a gallery of pictures in which there are few originals and many copies." And for those of you that know him, he was a huge fan of American democracy, the ability to marry ideas into action. And when you go a little bit deeper, you look at some of the ideas, what you find is they're actually copies. They're based on the ideas of John Locke and Voltaire. But there is one idea that is unique to America, and that it's America's commitment to religious freedom. This is the first country in the world where you find you can hold office without a litmus test. And think about this. 250 years ago, people were discussing whether Muslims should have the right to hold office in this country or not. The first question you might be wondering is why were they speaking about Muslims? First of all, Muslims have been part of the story of the American narrative before there was an America. By some estimates, 10% to 20% of the slaves were Muslim. So significant is the historic tie between Muslims and America that the first country to recognize America as a fledgling democracy and nation was Morocco, a Muslim nation. During the ratification and debate over the Constitution, at the time, Delegate James Ardell noted that it was impossible to exclude any man from any position based on his faith. And he specifically mentioned Muslims. Think about that. Before there is a constitution ratified, they are debating whether Muslims can hold office 250 years ago. And he reasoned that if we are the United States, how can we discriminate against anyone else? American and Muslims have been part of the same conversation, the same history, since the fabric of this country. And why is that the case? Because American values are Muslim values. One of the most recent polls showed the American dream of being free and prosperous is healthy and robust in the American Muslim community. When given the opportunity to prosper, American Muslims shine. On average, they are more educated and wealthy than their counterparts, and by some estimates, they account for 10% of the medical profession. So not only do we contribute, not only are we individually successful, but we have organizations like HGH and MCMF that are contributing to their local communities, feeding over 400 people a month in the state of Maryland. Statistics are great. The Founding Fathers' visions are great, but we can't be complacent. Thomas Jefferson is noted as saying, "The price of liberty is eternal vigilance." The majority of Americans, more than 60% of Americans, have never met a Muslim. More than 90% of the coverage of Muslims in the media is negative. There are over 200 pieces of anti-Muslim legislation in circulation throughout the country. So this is not an issue of being a Muslim and not being a Muslim. Hatred, xenophobia, and bigotry, they affect all communities. Hate crimes are on the rise not only amongst Muslims, but Jews and African Americans and all other minority communities. This threatens the way of life of all Americans and our founding principles. AMI, the American Muslim Institution, is one organization amongst a chorus of organizations in this room who are fighting to preserve that American dream that was guaranteed over 200 years ago. Our institution has been dedicated to be a proactive voice in engaging the community and reminding Americans that Muslim values are American values. American stories are Muslim stories. The principles we are all representing today, we must also defend together. The challenges we face as a nation are monumental, but they cannot be overcome. They can be overcome if we work together, united. Tocqueville noted, without common ideas, there is no common action. And without common action, there is no society. And for society to prosper, we have to work together. Today, I'm proud we coalesced under not only common ideas, but common action under the banner of the American Maryland Muslim Council. Thank you very much.
I know everybody's hungry. I know. We're about to start. We've got one last act. We have, food will be served in just a moment, but we have a short entertainment program for, it's about 10 minutes, I swear. And then lunch and tables will be called. Lunch is given by Shahi Grill. Tables will be called one by one. But first, I'd like to introduce Hassan Khan, a 17-year-old student at Prince George's Community College. He's majoring in biology. And also, after that, Abdullah or Tuli Nguyen, born and raised in Philadelphia and is a Vietnamese-American Muslim. And also Faraz Amer, better known by his artist persona, Farasti, is a Pakistani-American pushing entertainment and culture through his viral YouTube videos, music, and podcasts. Please welcome these three gentlemen. Are they here?
Good, it's Faraz.
Go ahead.
Hello everyone, Assalamu alaikum to all the Muslims. My name is Hassan. I'm a 17-year-old student at Prince George's Community College. I'm majoring in biology right now. I hope to someday become a doctor. I currently hold a position at Doctors Community Hospital in Lanham, Maryland. And I'm an avid musician. I'm an avid musician, spoken word artist, a bibliophile, and a trivia nut. I use my art, my spoken word, and my music to spread the message of love and unity, both within the Muslim community and for humankind universally. I have a short piece I wrote for today to express my gratitude for living in this great society. When I look at America, I don't see a melting pot, a setting where we all lose our individuality, a vat filled with a homogeneous sludge. America is more than a cookie-cutter society. We have people of all different walks of life, different colors, different races, different creeds and beliefs. This is the only country in the world where you can come from the bottom and make something of yourself regardless of what you see. Where a penniless immigrant can amass a fortune, where we value integrity and character, where we're free to believe whatever we believe. So for that, I say, God bless America. Thank you.
There it goes. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. My name is Abdullah. I'm a Vietnamese American Muslim, and you guys call me Tuli for short. And Faraz reached out to me to perform today about, I'm a music writer and stuff. So there's this song called Streetcar. It's by Kanye West, but Daniel Caesar remade the version. And the reason why I like that song because I interpret it my own way. So basically, it's about opportunities and where you end up in life, okay? So I'm gonna perform this song for you guys right now. Let me know, do I still got time to grow? Things ain't always set in stone. That being known, let me know. Seems like street lights glowing happen to be just like moments passing in front of me. So I hopped in the cabin, I paid my fare. See, I know my destination, I'm just not there. All these street lights glowing happen to be just like moments passing in front of me. So I hopped in the cabin, I paid my fare. See, I know my destination, I'm just not there. In these streets, in these streets, I'm just not there. In these streets, life just ain't fair. All right, that is it. Thank you, you guys. You guys have a great luncheon. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you. Thank you. Next, I'd like to, Farasti's coming up. He's famous, guys.
Hello, assalamu alaikum, everybody. I was gonna say everybody looks good, but everybody looks hungry, even more. I heard the governor say that he's gonna have an iftar at his house. I guess this is like a practice for it, since everybody's kind of fasting right now. Yeah, so I go by the name Farasti online. Pretty much what I do, I have a brand called Alif Theory, and in that, it's my friends and I that created it, and we like to promote our culture and our religion in the media, because a lot of you here are in these great positions and everybody's important. That's great. But what else is important is the way that I get my influence in education. And I grew up on music and movies, and that's where I know pretty much like most of everything that I've been taught. And so I think that it's important that we also get our voices in the media. It would be nice for young brown kids to see, you know, superheroes that look like them, actors that look like them. And so that's what we try to do. The two gentlemen that were up here earlier, I met them online, and I asked them to come and perform here, and they did, which is awesome. That's how we communicate. And I hear a lot of times that, you know, there's a big generation gap between, you know, the older generation and the younger generation. And that's not really a problem, because it's so easy to solve. You just communicate. And so the best way that I know how to communicate, and the other two do, is through our art. And I think that's extremely important, because art does not have to be politically correct. It's expressive, and it shows our experiences. So I have a piece that I want to do today called Not in My Name. It's a little bit more serious, and it talks about my experiences as a Pakistani American, and I think it's important that I say that because I'm not just Pakistani and I'm not just American, and a lot of the generation that grows up today are in this little subculture, and that's important for us because we don't relate to one or the other more than the other. It's this own identity that we have, and so we go around performing, my group, around colleges in the nation, and people often ask me, aren't your parents embarrassed that you're making these videos online, these cultural parodies and this and that? But my dad actually asks me all the time if he can get tickets to our shows, which I think is awesome. And I'm extremely privileged and blessed that my parents give me the opportunity to do what I do. So anyways, this is a little spoken word I have called Not in My Name. I don't know if I can really tell the difference between Islamophobes and ISIS, because they both tell me that my faith is black, my Quran is where my knife is. Astaghfirullah. But Islam is where my life is. And if you ask my friends about me, they'd say I'm the nicest. But don't ask my friends. And don't ask me, just take a look. These people tell me what my religion is when they can't read the book. Translated. A sister to the Bible, they're related. And brother to the Torah. The same stupid fight we've been fighting, this should be dated. Man, I hate this. And I'm sorry, France, I really am. But what about Syria, Lebanon, Iran? These old dudes with their old rules. Somebody please tell me when Palestine became old news. No life should be considered more valuable than the next. But if something goes down in Pakistan, I can't get a Facebook check from my baby cousins, aunties, uncles, granddad. My profile picture wouldn't let you know because there's only option for one flag. Please stop saying it's a Muslim problem. Because among the most threats, man, the Muslims got them. We don't hear about the bombings or the drones at all. Innocent lives, sacrifice that they condoned at all. Where there's poverty, there's violence. I'm down the block from Baltimore, come see us in our riots. And yes, that's the US, where cops give some shooters into school these excuses. We used to talk about the slaves to the whites all day, and today we got people walking around in the KKK. So if Muslims are 9/11, is it fair to say that the Christians are Holocaust and they're still crusades? No, because that was them, not you. And that's the problem. If a German-born Adolf, how the hell am I Osama? Almost 2 billion Muslims, so don't generalize. If we put our minds to work, we could benefit lives. Get to know my sisters individualized. The Muslim world is filled with women leaders disguised. And you can blame the news, nothing better to do. Lives ain't important as the ratings or views. So this is for the world's fallen, have a moment of silence. Love one another, please, normal moments of violence. Love.
Thank you. Thank you. I think it's very important for us to support the Muslims in art. I'd like to recognize Rabbi Susan Grossman from the Beth Shalom congregation. She is here today. Thank you for coming. And then I would like to open up for those of you who have not gotten up for food. The rest of you may go and have our food. We've got a table over here. There's a table over here, and there's a table over there. It's a buffet lunch provided by Shahi Grill. And that concludes our events for this afternoon. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for being here. And to those who were awarded, congratulations. And have a wonderful rest of your afternoon. Thank you.